Hey, you guys. So, we are having a baby next year. By the time you see this video, it's probably going to be next year. I'm not sure. Currently, I'm shooting this video while I am around 9 weeks pregnant. And so I don't want to share this video until I'm around maybe 14 weeks, but sometime in my second trimester. So we are having a baby. And not just that, having a baby in Thailand or abroad. We were going back and forth as to where we wanted to give birth, whether Malaysia or, here in Thailand. But in general, we'll be giving birth abroad. And this is going to be such an interesting experience because obviously I've never given birth in Thailand, right? This is going to be our second baby. We have a 2-year-old right now. He just turned 2-year-old toddler, and he was born in the US. And this time around, things look a little bit different. Okay. We are planning on giving birth here in Thailand. And in this video, I want to share a little bit about why we plan on giving birth in Thailand. Why not go back to the US? Why not fly back there? Isn't it safer? Doesn't it make more sense? What about, citizenship? What about all these different things, healthcare, all the things, right? Let's really talk about it because I know a lot of people will have questions and do have questions about moving abroad. And one of the reasons why I created this new platform, this new channel is to somewhat inspire other families to make the move, right? To know that it is possible even as a family. So on the internet, you will come across a lot of solo travelers, which are great. I think solo traveling is great. You come across a lot of those. But a lot of times I know that there are families out there are moms, who are looking for content that they can relate more to because they do have a family, they have children, and the dynamics are a little bit different, right? So that's one of the reasons why I created this platform, Life with Shabivia, to share my journey of living abroad as we are a growing family, as we plan on growing our family, as we navigate schooling, homeschooling, the different things, social life, all of those things while abroad. So in this video, I'm going to try to do my best to cover all the reasons why we plan on staying in Thailand to give birth. Okay. First things first, we knew before moving abroad, we knew that we wanted to start a family, right? We already had our son. Our son was about 11 months when we transitioned to this side of the world, Southeast Asia, right? We were in Bali for a little bit and we've been kind of bopping around a little bit, but our home base is Bangkok, Thailand. And we knew before that, prior to that, that we wanted to have a family. The idea of giving birth abroad did not necessarily scare me. The reason is because I understand that people give birth every single day all around the world. It does not matter. Doesn't have to be the US or the UK or Canada, the Western world. People give birth all over the world every single day. And so that's one of the reasons why I was not necessarily afraid to continue to grow our family while living abroad. Secondly, I knew that I was going to choose a place where the healthcare system was stable, where there was good infrastructure. Okay, that's number two. That's one of the reasons why we decided to choose Thailand, Bangkok, Thailand as our home base because of the infrastructure and because of the ease of traveling in and out of Bangkok, whether you want to travel, out of Thailand to go to some country in Europe, some country, in Africa, wherever, go back to the US, wherever. Like Bangkok is such a great hub. It's a great travel hub. And so that's one of the reasons why we chose here, but also because of the healthcare infrastructure. Now, we have experienced the healthcare system quite a few times, up to this point of living here. And I am really, really, really confident in it, even comparing to the US, to be honest, like the experience, it's just different. When you go to the hospitals here, it does not necessarily feel so much like you're in this hospital dreadful place. You're not waiting for hours. You're not being mistreated. Everything is so efficient. Like, you have to come here to understand what I am talking about. Okay. Hopefully you never have to really go to the hospital, but we've been in and out of the hospital for different reasons. For a checkup, we do have a toddler. I think that's one of the reasons why we've been to the hospital so many times, for just like checkups and, making sure that he's okay, different things like that. And now, with prenatal care and stuff like that. So we have been to the hospital quite a few times since moving here. And when I tell you, it is such a top-notch experience. It is world class. It is so efficient. I mean, you have the pharmacy. I'm going to try to give specific details and specific examples, because I know some people are probably like, okay, what are the details? Why is it efficient? What makes it world class? What makes it not feel dreadful? I don't know how they were able to pull this off or how they did it, but when you go into, let's say, an international, let's say Bangkok hospital, right? There are greeters, there are reception desk, there are customer service agents. Most people speak English as well, especially at the international hospitals, especially the nurses and the doctors, they all speak English as well. And not only that, but you have so much support. If you don't know where to go, there are so many people to help you. At this point, they are overstaffed. No kidding. Okay, you have the different sections of the hospital. If you need to see a neurosurgeon, if you need to see an orthopedics surgeon, doctor, if you want to see whatever specialist, women's health specialist, whatever specialist that you can think of, they have them there on demand. You do not have to book an appointment weeks out or months out. If you want to book an appointment, you can book an appointment, but just know that you can also walk in. Or if you book an appointment, you can get an appointment for the next day or the next couple of days. You don't have to get a referral, like, see a main doctor and then the main doctor refer you to a specialist. It's none of that. It's none of that. It's just simple, straightforward, and to the point. You walk in and you see a specialist. And honestly, a lot of the doctors, they a lot of times have studied in the US, but the ethics I find are so much better. I think it's because it's a cultural thing. So yes, they somewhat take their medical background and education from like the US or some Western country, but the work ethics, I think, is just so much better. And to me, in my opinion, it's a lot more thorough. So, for example, the other day I went to do an ultrasound, right, to really, really, really confirm the pregnancy and everything. And by the way, what I noticed that is different is that in the US, you have like a radiologist or somebody that does or a tech does the ultrasound and stuff like that. And they're not able to tell you a lot of things because they're not the actual doctor. Usually the doctor is not the one that's going to be doing the ultrasound. The actual doctor does like the ultrasound and stuff like that, which was interesting. And she gave me a lot more insight. She was a lot more thorough. She was telling me what uterus I conceived from. She was just breaking a lot of things down for me that I never really experienced in the US. In the US, it was very like rushed and fast. And that was it. Like the doctor will tell you it was very rushed, but here it was like it was very thorough. She went over everything with me, and it was just a beautiful experience. And then also, what I love about the hospitals here is that they, right then and there, they can prescribe you if you want like additional, let's say, supplements or vitamins. They can prescribe it for you right then and there. But not only that, you can pick it up right then and there in like minutes. I'm not talking hours. I'm not talking an hour. I'm talking about minutes. I don't know how they operate so fast. And you are getting your customized prescription, vitamins, whatever, right then and there, because they have the pharmacies and the pharmacy technicians and all the doctors and stuff like that right there on the premises. So you don't then have to go take that prescription to then go some faraway place or somewhere else. You literally get it in minutes. Don't ask me how they do it, but they have figured out efficiency when it comes on to the healthcare system, and I absolutely love it. Not only efficiency, but the price point just makes sense. Like in the US, pay for to do an ultrasound and maybe do tests and all of these things. You're looking at thousands of dollars if you're not, let's say, using insurance. But places like over here, in Southeast Asia in general, it's a fraction of the cost. And again, you're getting people with the same education. A lot of doctors have the same education as doctors in the US, but they just have figured out a way where there are people also locally. So not just foreigners, but when you go to these hospitals, you mostly see locals. And when I say locals, I mean Thai people there. Okay. They have figured out a system to make healthcare very affordable for everyone. And so I love that about the healthcare system. Another thing is I okay. So if you are new here, I am pro non-hospital births. I should have probably said that in the beginning, okay? I am pro non-hospital births. We opted to have a non-hospital birth for my son, okay? It was either going to be a home birth or a birth center birth, right? We decided to hire midwives who owned like a birth center that where you have a more homey experience feel. You don't feel like you're in a hospital. That was very homey, the bedroom, the bathtub, very homey. I wanted a private birth. I did not want any unnecessary interventions. I had a healthy pregnancy, thank God, by the grace of God. I had a healthy pregnancy. Pretty much most things were normal. Had some pelvic, what they call it, rounding ligament pains here and there. But in general, I had a healthy pregnancy and I knew I wanted to give birth at home because also of the high mortality rate in hospitals, especially with Black women. So let's talk about this. I'm so passionate about this, you guys, because there's always statistics saying, oh yeah, Black women there's a high mortality rate for Black women. And it's just this thing that is being said. But why is that the case is not really being said. It's not because of biology. God created the woman's body, designed the woman's body to be able to give birth. Let me say that. I understand that there are circumstances that, like, there's a small percentage of situations where there may be infertility issues or there may be complications and different things like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about in general. God created the woman's body to give birth. Okay. I don't understand why Black women, especially in the US, why there's such a high mortality rate. Actually, no, I do understand. I do understand why that is. And I believe that it is because sometimes Black women are not listened to as much as their counterparts. That's just what it is. That is just what it is. And this video could not have come any sooner because I'm sure you probably have seen these, especially these two recent videos that have been circulating on the internet, on TikTok, where this one woman, bless her soul, her and her husband, and I think her mom was there, took her to the hospital because she was literally in active labor. She was very calm. She reminded me of myself during labor, but she was very calm, but she was breathing and she was like in active labor. She was there for hours, by the way. She was not even checked by a doctor. I think she was being checked upon by nurses or by a nurse. And she was in active labor. And I guess for them, things weren't speeding up fast enough. She was there for like a few hours or something like that. But she was in active labor, you guys. Her centimeters it was gradually changing. Somehow they kicked her out of the hospital. Like, how can you kick a woman out of the hospital who is in active labor? Like, make it make sense. They were dead serious. They were like, oh, sorry, you're not moving fast enough. And she was literally in active labor. You know what happened after that? She literally gave birth like 12 minutes after that in her husband's truck. Her husband had to deliver their baby, in the truck on the side of the road because they kicked her out. Like, how is that a thing? And then there was this other video, I may put a clip here or something like that, where the nurse was so nonchalant. She was so indifferent. She was just like, okay, you're in labor. And that was her demeanor. Like, they have the videos on the internet. You can go watch it. You can go look it up. Those videos have been going viral. And the lady was in active labor. She had to stand up at one point. What was crazy to me was that the lady was asking her like basically the same questions like 3 times. She was like, have you ever been pregnant before? The lady said yes. She was like, how many children do you have? And then, the lady in labor said 3. And then the nurse went to ask her again, you have 3 children at home? You have 3 babies at home? It was one of the most ridiculous things that I have ever seen. The lady literally answered the same question like 3 or 4 times, I believe. I'm like, why is this lady tormenting? Like, like why is she purposefully taunting this lady? And I think a few minutes after that, the lady gave birth, but it was not in the delivery room. And so a lot of times Black women aren't being listened to, they aren't being heard, or things that may be life threatening are ignored. I've had my friend that told me that I don't remember what was left inside of her after she gave birth, and it was a mistake. The doctor should have told her, or the doctor should have had it pushed out after she gave birth, something like that. And she could not believe that they forgot that. So things like that, you guys, things like that. And so, anyway, I dreaded the idea of giving birth in a hospital. To be honest, I wanted to set the tone as much as possible, as much as we can. There's only so much that you can control with giving birth, right? Only God can really control everything. But I wanted to set the tone as much as possible. I wanted just the people who I wanted around me. And so for my birth, I just had my midwives, my husband, my doula, and my birth videographer. Okay, those are the only people in the room. It was very peaceful, it was very calming. I almost gave birth in a car. That's another story. Almost gave birth at home. I pretty much labored at home for like an hour or two. And by the time I got to the birth center, I gave birth. I had a precipitous birth, which is a fast, rapid birth. Had I gone to the hospital, it would have been a different story. So I felt like God was like, girl, because I actually changed from seeing an OB to deciding to go with a midwife like mid pregnancy or something crazy like that. I was praying that these people would take me because I was so far along, like maybe 26 weeks or something like that. But I just felt like God was like, no. And also, my OB, she was pregnant also. She was just like, I think 5 weeks behind me, something crazy like that. So in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm seeing this OB, but in reality, she may not be the one delivering my baby. And I chose her because she was, I guess, mixed race and somewhat identifies as Black. And so I was like, okay, she'll understand me. So if I'm going to give birth in a hospital, let me at least go with this OB because she's mixed. But then she ended up pregnant as well. And then something else, she forgot something very important to tell me. And I was in Hawaii at the time. And I was like, oh my gosh, how could you forget to tell me? I don't even remember what this was, but it was an easy fix. I needed to go to maybe some pharmacy or something like that. But at the time, I could not get access to it where I was at in Hawaii. But anyway, long story short, I'm telling you guys like all the backstory, but I just felt like I was like, nope, don't do it. And so, had I decided to give birth in the hospital, I felt like my experience would have been so different because when I tell you, from the second I pulled up to the birth center to when I gave birth, it was like 8 minutes. I literally felt like I was going to give birth on the sidewalk before the midwife even opened the door. That's how bad, like, I knew this baby was coming. Like, the baby was literally just coming. My birth, it just happened so fast. I felt like my water broke around like 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning. By 6, 7 a.m., I called my midwife because I'm like, I feel like I'm having contractions. And then by like 9 or so, we headed to the birth center and the baby was here. Like, that's how fast it was. I did not even realize that I was in labor. Like, it was a supernatural birth experience that I honestly thank God for. I'm happy that I was not in labor for any longer than that because those contractions were a little bit intense. They were kind of intense. Now I understand what people are talking about, but I embraced it. Anyway, so that birth happened really fast. And I feel like if I went to the hospital, I feel like they probably would not believe that I was in labor because of how calm I was. I was actually really calm. I was really calm. I just really felt like, okay, I needed to push. And so when I got to the birth center, I didn't even get time, you guys. I'll probably Feel free to watch this video. I'll see if I can actually link my birth story video to this video, but I did not even get time to go into the birth tub. So they were filling up the water because my goal was to have a water birth, right? And y'all, when I tell you we got into the birth center, we got into the house, right? We got there and I took off what I was wearing, took off my clothes, what I was wearing, and started to walk towards the bathtub, you guys, and I could not make it to the bathtub. I literally squatted and gave birth on the floor. It was wild. It was a crazy experience. But I'm so grateful for it. It was so beautiful. My husband helped. Caught our son. It was wild. So I gave birth squatting, y'all, just squatting. Nothing, no IV hooked up, nothing, nothing, no medication. The plan was to have a completely natural, non-medicated, unmedicated birth anyway, so it worked out perfectly. But with that said, I felt like going to the hospital, they would have felt like I was too calm or something. And with all the navigation that you have to do with going to the hospital, you have to go and check in and you have to fill out paperwork and they ask you 1,000 questions about your health insurance, even though you're already on record and just all of these extra stuff. I just felt like it would have been such a bad experience. And I probably would have given birth in somebody's elevator or somebody's wheelchair or something like that because of how much navigation has to be done in the US, with giving birth and stuff like that. But anyway, with that said, I am a little bit scared. One of the reasons why I'm a little bit scared with giving birth here in Thailand is because the fact that I had a precipitous birth. And that means that the chances of me having another precipitous birth, fast birth experience is very high. Bangkok has a lot of traffic at certain times of the day, and I just would hate to be stuck in traffic. So it's like as soon as I feel like I'm in labor, like it's anywhere close to my due date, and I feel like I'm in labor, you know your body. As a woman, you know your body. I knew my body, and I knew something was happening. And so I feel like as soon as I feel like, okay, I'm in labor, or contractions are happening, I have to start going to the hospital. That's the only thing I'm worried about. We are not too far from the hospital. We're probably like a 25-30 minute drive, but it's just that with traffic, you can be stuck in traffic maybe for an hour. So that's the only thing I think about. We have looked into, or I have looked into, I know my husband doesn't care for a home birth in Thailand, but I have looked into home births here. And the thing is that even though home births were a thing way back when hospitals were really developed, home births were like one of the main ways that people gave birth here in Thailand. But then, there were some mortality rates and stuff like that. And the government wanted to decrease that. So they built infrastructure for women to give birth, right, at hospitals. And so after that, it's just really hard to find like midwives who will assist with home birthing. So you will search forever and ever and ever, amen, and not find a midwife that will do home births. They don't really do it here. And so I'm like, okay, I guess that's going to be out of the picture. However, I was able to find a phenomenal doctor. I have read her blogs. I have read reviews by other expat women who have given birth with this doctor at this international hospital. And she is, I'm not going to say she's pro natural births, but she encourages it. And she, if that's what you want, she will honor that. And I love how she tells the difference. She breaks down the pros and cons with the C-sections, and she was honest enough to say that C-sections here in Thailand are sometimes a cultural thing, or sometimes women just prefer it, or some doctors just will suggest it just in case, right? And I believe Thailand somewhat has a high C-section rate. However, this particular doctor, she works a lot with expats. She does natural births and she does water birth. She's one of the only doctors who has her facility set up, or her birthing room, I should say, with an actual birth tub that where you can give birth in the water, where you can have a natural birthing experience, no epidural, none of that, if that is your desire. And so she's very hard to find. That's very rare. That's very hard to find in Thailand, but I was able to find her, or in Bangkok, I should say. And so that's the route that we're deciding to take. So why are we deciding to give birth here in Thailand and not the US? I mean, You guys, there is nothing really that I miss about the United States healthcare system. It is, oh my gosh, it is, I don't know what it has become. It has become so bad. The discrimination, not even just the discrimination, but just the ethical practices. They like to push things on you that don't even exist. They like to scare women. I feel like, especially Black women, they like to scare us about things like, oh, you may have this and this and this, so you may have to do these, this, and this, and this test. Just, it's all a money making game. The healthcare system in the United States of America is a scam. And I can't stress that enough. What people pay for healthcare in America is mind blowing. I have friends who are paying over $1,500 because they have, they have children. And $1,500 per month for just to maintain health insurance. And then you still have your, I guess, the deductibles, right, that you have to pay, up to a certain amount. Sometimes it's maybe up to $5,000 for that year, up to $10,000. You have to pay that first before the insurance covers everything. And then you also have the co-pays. And then the service is not even world class. The service is not even good. Then you're also waiting for hours to be seen, just to be seen. I remember when we took our son right before we left the US to the children's hospital. In the US, we were there for hours. They asked us for our IDs like 4 times. No kidding. Like 4, maybe 3 times, but we saw like 5 people before we actually saw the doctor. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. It is night and day. The experience is night and day here in the US. Okay. When we go to the children's hospital, the first time we went, we were able to get an ID card for our son. We checked in at the receptionist. Very fast, super easy. Okay. His passport information. That was a one-time thing. Then we waited to see the doctor. The nurse checked him, his weight, different things like that. That only took a few minutes. Okay. And then we saw the doctor a few minutes after that. In like 40 minutes, we were done with everything from checking in to seeing the doctor to also picking up the prescription. 40 minutes, done. In the US, could never. Could never. So it is such a night and day experience, the healthcare system here. I don't dread going to like hospitals here because it's such a great experience and people are genuinely helpful and polite. So no, I would not be traveling miles away just to go back to a nightmare of a place. I'm sorry. I appreciate what the US has done for me. I appreciate the things that I was able to build, the people that I've been able to connect with, and just all the things that I've been able to learn and do in the US. But I won't be going there just to give birth. I mean, people give birth all over the world, and God's will is just God's will, right? So that is why we're deciding to give birth here in Thailand. Now, people may be wondering, okay, how will this work with citizenship? As an American citizen, right? As an American citizen, with American citizen parents, if you have your children abroad, because this happens all the time, you may be abroad and you end up giving birth, your child ends up taking on your American citizenship. There's just a form that you have to print out, fill out, submit it to I think the United States immigration or something like that. And you do that application process and you get your child's US passport. So unless the country allows dual citizenship, which Thailand doesn't, so even if your child is born here in Thailand, your child does not become a Thai citizen unless one of the parents, one of the parents are Thai. And so with that, our child will take on our American citizenship. So that's how that works. I'm trying to see what else I am missing. But in the meantime, while I think of that, if there are any questions that you guys have about, giving birth abroad, right? Planning a family abroad, let me know in the comments. And this is also one of the reasons why we decided to get a car, is because we already have a toddler. And now I'm expecting baby number 2. So we just felt like having a car, even though Bangkok is a place where you don't necessarily need a car, but you still see a lot of cars and you still see a lot of families having vehicles, because sometimes it can be convenient, especially as a family. In our community village, almost every house have a car. A lot of them have 2 cars. Okay. Like the wife and the husband have their own cars for some reason. It's just convenient sometimes. But, there is the Sky train, the BTS that we call it here, that you can take. There are Grab taxis that you can call, and there are bikes. We have done this mode of transportation, only these three modes of transportation for over a year of living in Thailand. Just like a couple months ago, we decided to purchase our first vehicle. We just bought it cash, just a used vehicle, okay, that was not expensive, so that we can bop around a little bit more, explore Thailand a little bit more, but also have a little bit of flexibility just in case, rather than spending hundreds of dollars per month to rent a vehicle. Because in Thailand, to rent a vehicle, especially Bangkok, it's going to cost you a few hundreds of dollars, at least anywhere between $350 to about $500 for a decent rental vehicle. For us, it just made sense to just buy a vehicle cash because we realized that we could break even in just a few months. Anyway, so we decided to get a vehicle so that we can have that flexibility, because as I get bigger, I am not trying to be on nobody's grab bike, and in case of emergency, stuff like that, we want to be able to just jump in our vehicle, because you can be waiting for a while for a grab taxi, right? Where we live, we're a little bit tucked away. We live in a community village just a little bit tucked away. We're not walking distance to like the BTS. So in order to get to like the BTS, the train, we need to take transportation. So that's calling a grab or calling a grab bike. And as a family traveling together with our toddler, my husband, we're not getting on a bike. We're calling a grab taxi. And sometimes that takes a while. Sometimes they cancel last minute. Sometimes it says, oh, they're 15 minutes away. 20 minutes away is the closest driver. Why? I don't know. Maybe to where we live, it's a little bit tucked away, but um, still good transportation. There's tuk-tuks and stuff like that where we live too, but we have to walk out to the main road to get there. And sometimes they will cancel last minute, or sometimes they will not cancel and they will tell you to cancel and they'll keep trying to go around and around. So it's like in case of emergencies, like we want to be able to just hop in our vehicle and go. And it has been really, really nice, by the way, with traveling with our toddler and just being able to just jump in our vehicle and go. At this point, I'm talking too much, but let's talk about healthcare as well. A lot of people, a lot of expats will start out with healthcare, like a SafetyWing or something like that. You can, by the way, check out the link in my description below and sign up for SafetyWing. SafetyWing has like two different plans. They have like a complete plan and they have a I think they're like the Nomad plan, right? With a Nomad plan that is really simple and really nice for, if you're bopping around, you're traveling, it covers travel and medical. If you have unexpected medical emergencies, it covers that. Unexpected dental emergencies, it covers that as well. It covers quite a few things. It's very extensive. You can just go to the website and check it out to see what it covers and see if it makes sense for your family. What I love with it as well is for like an adult and a child, it's about 50 something bucks, and it covers your child as well. So for every adult, it covers a child, like a minor child, right? So I like that about their healthcare system. It's very easy. You submit, if you had to go to the hospital or something, you submit a claim. So you submit your receipt, your medical certificate is very simple. You can go on the app, submit it, and they'll reimburse you. So a lot of times you have to pay out of pocket and they will reimburse you. So that's like the Nomad insurance. They also have the complete plan. The complete plan actually covers pregnancy. But this is the thing that a lot of people don't talk about. You have to have had the plan for at least 10 months for it to cover pregnancy. So it will cover like your prenatal visits. It will cover you giving birth up to a certain amount, maybe $4,000 or $5,000, something like that. But believe it or not, you guys, it don't really cost that much to give birth in Thailand. It costs about $4,000 to $5,000 in a place like Bangkok. In other parts of Thailand where it's maybe a little bit more remote or not that popular, it costs even it costs even less. But in a place like Bangkok, at an international experience, I'm talking about like 4 night stay, 5-star experience is what I would say, I guess. You're getting massages that comes with it. You're getting all these meals that comes with it, like good top-notch quality care. You're looking at about $4,000 to $5,000. If you're doing a C-section, it's probably going to be around maybe $8,000 or something like that, you guys. But that is out of pocket. Okay. Even without health insurance, that is out of pocket. So that's what I'm saying, that like the healthcare system, it makes sense, right? So back to what I was saying, SafetyWing, their complete plan will cover that, will cover most of your, I guess, natural birth package. And then they also cover postpartum care. So if you had to see, if you're doing postpartum massages, if you're seeing a prenatal chiropractor, different things like that, it will cover it. So that's what's really nice about the SafetyWing plan. I hope to find a prenatal chiropractor here in Thailand. I have not looked yet. That is one of the ways that I prepared to give birth back in the US with our first baby. I saw a prenatal chiropractor. She was really, really good, helped make sure that baby was in place early and everything. And did foot massages, stuff like that. I'm definitely going to be doing foot massages, a lot more foot massages here as well. That's something that we do every single month, like a few times per month here in Thailand, and I'll continue to do that. But anyway, I don't want this video to be too long. I will give you guys an update on how I plan on preparing for giving birth here in Thailand. If we're going to be staying in Bangkok, that's another thing too. Are we staying in Bangkok? Different things like that, how we're preparing, the care that we plan to have. Oh, and I'm super excited to share that I also found a confinement center. OMG, you guys. I've been looking at this for the longest, but the US don't really offer that. Here in Asia, like I know Japan has some, South Korea, Vietnam apparently has some, Malaysia as well. And I could not find one in Thailand. And I was so sad about it until my husband, he's the research man, he actually came across it. It did not really come up as like a postpartum confinement center. And it's very rare. Bangkok does not really have them because they have to operate really strictly. And I think they have to have some type of relationship with the hospital. So a confinement center, what that is basically, the Asian culture, they take postpartum seriously. Okay. They believe that for the first 30 days after giving birth, you should basically be inside and, be with your baby, but have great support. You should have somebody washing your hair. You should be taking herbal baths. You should be taking herbal medicines and drinking herbal teas and, maybe see a traditional Chinese medicine doctor. You should have a certain type of postpartum meals prepared, right? You should have these amount of meals eaten in a day. And it's really interesting because the Western culture is kind of like, okay, you give birth and that's it. Maybe your in-laws will probably help you out a little bit and that's it. We didn't have the luxury in our first birth anyway to have like in-laws or anybody else help us out. So it was literally my husband and I just tag teaming, literally just my husband and I. My doula, she did give us a couple of days. Like we had a package where she came for a couple of days, help us with folding, stayed with baby boy for a couple of hours, and that was nice. But outside of that, y'all, I will never forget those first 2 weeks. It was sleepless nights. We were running on steroids. And to see that in Asia, they have this support thing, this belief that, hey, women need to be well rested and well taken care of, and their babies need to be well taken care of for those first like 30 days is just so amazing to me. And so I'm so happy that I found it. We actually visited the confinement center already, looked at their packages, what they offer, the rates, just how they do things there. Very sterile. They have postpartum nurses there and nannies. And when I tell you, mind blowing, the services that they offer, unlimited foot massages for you there while there, hair washes, body massages, meals, like 6 meals per day that helps with postpartum recovery, specific herbal medicine teas specific to your body type. So every woman, every mom does not get this tea based on what the Chinese doctor, traditional, okay, Chinese medicine doctor says based on your body type and I guess blood type and things like that. Based on that, those are the types of herbs that you get in your daily tea that you get to drink during the day. I mean, top-notch service, right? They take care of your baby for you. They help with feeding, night feeds, so you don't have to always get up, just a lot. But I don't want to talk too much about that because that topic is for a whole nother video. I can really go on and on, you guys. So let me know in the comments if you want me to share that experience. I think I may document that experience, but even prior to that, I want to share a little bit more about the confinement center, what that is about, why people do it, what the benefit of it is, and what I will be expecting with doing that service. And I'm so excited because I know what being sad postpartum feels like. I know what not having support feels like postpartum. So I'm like, I do not want to go through that again. So finding this service is like, especially with already having a toddler, y'all, I will be tired. I'll be tired, okay? Yes, we have our nanny with us with our toddler, but still, with a newborn, it's just a different situation. So I'm super excited to see what that journey will be like. And if you want to follow this journey, if you want to follow my journey and, learn more about what I'm doing, how I'm planning on giving birth in Thailand, what that's going to look like, I may be documenting this entire this entire experience. If you want to be a part of that, be sure to subscribe, like this video, leave me a comment, share all the good stuff. All right, beautiful people, this video was long enough. Until next time. Bye.